watching Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Tonight at Madison Square Garden, the final chapter as fellow members of the Big East in the rivalry that helped define the conference.
I think Syracuse Georgetown started the Big East off and made the Big East in a lot of ways, and it's been just a great rivalry.
And fists fly between Washington and Ewing. The Hoyas come running on the floor to stop the Pearl. Hawkins comes away and the foul is called.
It's pure and simple. Georgetown's got a great basketball team, but today the best team did not win. Thank you.
I've never not had respect for his coaching ability or the people in Syracuse.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he wants an offensive foul.
There's so many games that have been just great. Last second shots that we made.
McNamara, it's good! Jerry Mack drops one on G-Town.
Last second shots that Georgetown's made.
Smith with a scoop. Oh, the buzzer!
I just hated for him to beat us. I hated it.
Welcome to the Big East Championship, presented by American Eagle Outfitters. A big part of Championship Week, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. For the final time as members of the Big East, Syracuse and Georgetown. Longtime observers say this is the toughest ticket in the history of college basketball games played inside the world's most famous arena. Fans of both teams delighted. They have one more shot at each other. Comes in the first Big East semifinal of the night. It'll be a great night of basketball for this sellout crowd. Georgetown and Syracuse for the 90th time all time to get us started. And then Louisville and Notre Dame. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, and Bill Raftery. Delighted to have you with us. Just 6 days ago, we were in Washington, D.C. for the regular season finale. We thought that might be the final chapter of this Big East rivalry. Fitting that there's another.
I can think of nothing more appropriate in the semifinals here at Madison Square Garden of the Big East, the last one of the traditional Big East, to have Georgetown and Syracuse. It's great.
Yeah, you know, it reminds us of ourselves. Acrimonious relationship, but friendly on occasion. You know, it was like a meteorite in the sky for Dave Gavitt and his dream, this league. It's shone brightly for so long. It really is sad. But I must add that I made these two, the Thompsons and the Boeheims, career.
Yes, you
by
did.
coaching against them, and I got them in the Hall of Fame. So it's my contribution to the Big East.
Third meeting of the season. Georgetown won both regular season meetings with relative ease. Last time, 6 days ago, they hammered Syracuse.
They did, and they did it with defense. Otto Porter has been spectacular on the offensive end, but Georgetown's defense has been smothering. They held them to 46 and 39 points, respectively, in the two games. And Georgetown is long, they are athletic, and they play 5-as-1 defensively. You get beat off the dribble, they funnel you down to the baseline, and they have great help. You pass out of it, and they are going to close out and fly by you to contest a shot. They've got to make James Sutherland put that ball on the floor if he can just catch and shoot. But they also go after the ball. They get steals and turn those into points, and those can be devastating when you have such a hard time scoring against the Hoyas.
And it wasn't just against Georgetown. The Syracuse offense really struggled for much of the end of the regular season, but it's come to life in their 2 wins here in New York.
Well, they have a leader from Syracuse. I wish we could say the same right here. Michael Carter-Williams, his ability to penetrate and get involved, his decision-making when it is good. He sees well, and because of that size, he can deliver the punch, makes big shots late. And the real concern, I think, is getting this guy involved, Trish. And if he can do that, that backcourt can set up this wonderful deep shooter. Beautiful stroke like honey, a lot of nylon. As Jay mentioned, you can't give him those open looks. You better close out or he will drill you.
Starting lineup brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. For the Orange, Brandon Trish and Michael Carter-Williams, with C.J. Fair, the Red Hot Sutherland, and Rakeem Christmas. Georgetown, regular season Big East champs, share the title with Louisville and Marquette. Markel Starks runs the show with Jabril Trawick. The Player of the Year, Otto Porter. Nate Lubick and Mikhail Hopkins. Jim Burr will throw it in the air. Seems fitting he's a part of this. Been a part of so many Syracuse-Georgetown battles. Working with Jeff Anderson and Ed Corbett. And the Orange control the tip.
Sean McDonough, Jay Billis right now. The Hoyas go.
The house is alive. Sutherland trying to pick up where he left off. Wide left. He is now 12 for 16 from beyond the arc for Syracuse. In the 2 games, he's 4 away from tying a Big East championship record for most threes made in a Big East tournament.
All right, now fair with Lubick, a pretty good setup. I think Porter will be playing him, don't you, Jay?
Yeah, he started on. They just got caught on a switch.
Right.
They are switching a lot of exchanges and will throughout the game.
Sutherland from closer, wide left again, and it's pulled down by Nate Lubick, the junior from Southborough, Massachusetts. Gives them 5 rebounds a game, second on the team behind Porter.
Georgetown can get some good shots at the top of that zone. Markel Starks knocked in 5 threes in the last ball game. He gets free at the top. You got to be aware of him all the time.
And Porter, great cutter, finds hole, great awareness.
Hoyas had the double bye, so they played only 1 game here. They defeated Cincinnati yesterday by double digits. Lubick with the shot clock running out. Trawick crashed the boards to keep it alive, and Georgetown has it with a full shot clock. Will this be the last game as a Big East coach for the winningest coach in the history of the conference, Jim Boeheim? He's been a part of it from the beginning, 34 years. Brandon Trish a steal, and then the ball was on the sideline. Which team's going to get it? It'll be Georgetown's. For so many years, Boeheim locked horns with this man's dad, John Thompson Jr., his son, living up to the family image with his coaching talents.
A little trap on that baseline, too. Got to be ready for it if you're Georgetown.
John Thompson III, the Big East Coach of the Year. His team won the regular season title. Jabril Trawick, no, and you get the sense that both teams might be a little bit jittery. So much anticipation for this ball game tonight. Trawick the takeaway. Otto Porter fouled by Michael Carter-Williams.
That's what's great about this kid. He's got a terrific middle game, complemented by a deep shot and the ability to put it on the deck. But you've got to have better control than this, Jay, don't you think?
Yeah, not a smart play by Carter-Williams on one end, going a little bit too fast, and a really poor decision to foul from behind on this play. You make Otto Porter take a difficult shot, but that turnover put the Syracuse defense in a bad spot. I'll tell you, rebounding is going to be gigantic in this game. These guys are going after each other on the glass already.
Lubick went after the Porter miss and knocked it out of bounds. Jim Boeheim said before the game tonight, and who's a better authority than the man who's won more games and coached longer in this league than anybody, he thinks in terms of an entire skill set, Otto Porter might be the best player in the history of this league. When you talk about everything, shooting, passing, rebounding, steals.
And what did the cynic say to that?
I haven't heard Jay weigh in yet.
Oh, he did. He's played against them tonight. That's why I said.
Great hands by Trawick. Georgetown, a terrific defensive team. He stripped C.J. Fair, did Trawick.
If ever you need to be strong with the ball, it's in this one.
How about that? What a beautiful float. Kiss Starks. This kid's had a really terrific year.
He has indeed. Third team All Big East. He killed Syracuse Saturday in Washington, D.C. Starks at 19 points. Fair scores. Michael Carter-Williams gesturing at the officials. He thought his teammate was fouled.
He's got to be aggressive. Otto Porter really shut him off in the last ball game in D.C. Settled for some jump shots, and it appears that Syracuse is trying to put the ball on the deck more often and get it into the middle of the defense.
Nice pass, that high-low.
Mikhail Hopkins fouled. And the personal is on by Musakeda, who just came into the game, his first.
Nice cut and a terrific move by C.J. Fair. Talk about a floater.
Is that pretty? That's a long distance floater. You pay extra for that, baby.
Friendly bounce for Mikhail Hopkins. There's a 62% free throw shooter. Played only 6 minutes yesterday against Cincinnati in the quarterfinals as John Thompson III played a smaller lineup against that guard-oriented Cincinnati team.
Well, Hopkins, typical of the centers for Georgetown. They keep getting better. Thinking of Sims last year, wide open.
Sutherland, a chance for a 4-point play.
He didn't get your message, Jay, on the closeout.
Just came down on the pin down. Screened by Musekedi, got hit twice. Michael Carter-Williams came over and made it a staggered double. And Carter-Williams was the guy that picked off Nate Lubick. And that gave James Sutherland a chance to set his feet. You let him set his feet. You got to make him put it on the deck. Otherwise, he's going to drill shot after shot.
4-point play, ties it at 6. The foul on Lubick, his first.
Nice. That's open because the guards can shoot it, particularly Starks from the top.
Porter missed from the elbow. Sutherland the rebound. Even though he plays on the perimeter on offense largely, he's a good rebounder. 5 per game. And Trawick called for that nudge of Carter-Williams, the first on Jabril, sophomore from Jenkintown, Pennsylvania.
You know, the nice advantage, Jay, is that high ball screen. They'll go under on Williams because you know he's not going to take that jumper. He's going to try and penetrate and find.
Well, one of the things you can do is use Sutherland to start setting some ball screens.
Pick and pop, kind of.
Little pick and pop. And
look at this screen by Williams again. There it is.
Well, he was open.
He was.
C.J. Fair, Porter again out to contest, and Lubick has another rebound. Just watching these first 4 minutes compared to what Syracuse did at the end of the regular season, much more movement. They just seem to be more engaged in their offense.
Alert. They're really alert. Of course, it's payback. They know they didn't play well in nice entry again in their 2 games.
If they played well the last couple games here, you don't want to foul that shooter. Just put a little late pressure.
Brandon Trish the foul, and after the timeout, Devontae Smith-Rivera, the talented freshman, will be on the line. Sutherland still red hot from beyond the arc and approaching the 3-ball record.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by American Eagle Outfitters. Live your life. And in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And the 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
Legendary figures from both of these schools. Basketball royalty in the house tonight. John Thompson Jr., Wayne the Pearl Washington, who dazzled in this building in the mid-'80s. Derek Coleman, another of the great players in Syracuse history. Jim Boeheim maintains his old teammate and roommate Dave Bing's the best player in the history of Syracuse. Here's Andy Katz.
Well, Sean, you said at the top of the broadcast that it was a tough ticket. I'm going to tell you, walking over here, I'd say the average price was around $300, but it has crept up as the game has gotten closer. Supposedly outside, we're hearing reports that it's been a little over $1,000 for certain seats. Remember, the face value here is $100, and John Paquette, the Associate Big East Commissioner, told me this is the most requests he's ever had on the day of a semifinal for tickets. Had to start at $100. He's obviously not scalping, but obviously they are outside.
Sean was here a little late. Were you busy outside hustling?
I've actually been here since 2:30 this afternoon.
You're
so
coaching?
Fired up to get in here. Yeah, there was a event here earlier tonight with some of the Big East sponsors from Capital One. Devontae Smith-Rivera missed the first free throw on the all-rookie team, and he was honorable mention all Big East as well. John Thompson III missed the first 2 of the 3. Said before the game tonight that Devontae was the typical freshman. He said he had no idea what I wanted him to do at the beginning of the year, but now he understands what we're doing, and boy, has he become a factor.
Boy, he understood in D.C. in the Verizon Center. He had 15 points, 5 assists, knocked down 3-pointers, put the ball on the floor, played great defense. He had a terrific game.
At the end of the shot clock, he's one guy that can break it down. The great thing about this rivalry, Sean, to put a closer on the great players we saw here in Washington, all the old Georgetown players were there too, as you guys well know. Love their program, love their coaches, just perfect situations.
Trish Little long with a three. Carter Williams races for the long rebound. Fair's a good three-point shooter. Doesn't shoot many of them, but he's made 46% for the year, 23 out of 50.
Gotta watch Sutherland coming off the second one. There he is.
Nice, really well played. Well played.
Trawick right there to contest. Georgetown ball up by 1.
He really held out to the hip on that trail. Wasn't that great defensively?
Yeah, Mikhail Hopkins was helping as well. He's leaving by Musakeda to help out on James Sutherland. When Porter gets it, Kate is going to have to come up. There's going to have to be there. It is.
Yeah, nice ball, Joe. Pretty high low.
And the bucket for Mikhail Hopkins. Sophomore from Hyattsville, Maryland, out of DeMatha.
That's the beauty of putting Otto Porter in the middle, because he can make a shot. It requires the middleman to come up and engage, and then you can look down short corner baseline or look opposite.
Carter Williams underneath the Fair. Georgetown faithful thought he walked by Musakeda. Offensive rebound. He missed. Porter the rebound, and he was fouled by Brandon Trish, and that's 2 on the senior guard from Jamesville, New York, just outside of Syracuse.
When Otto Porter, because he's so skilled, you can use him in the middle. Even in a crowd, he operates with such poise. Catches it. Keita's got to come up. That is a long distance for C.J. Fair to travel in order to get back to Mikhail Hopkins. And now it's Moses Ayegba down, trying to post, but also staying behind the zone, which flattens it out a little bit.
And he's tough at the rim. That's his game. And the big thing, they can make this shot, Jay, so it drags the defense out and opens up that entry.
Porter trying to find a spot where he can be helpful. 5 to shoot. Trawick started to drive. Trish, good defense to bat it away from Porter from behind, and only 1 second on the shot clock for the Hoyas.
Trish very fortunate. He had his left arm all over the back there, and when he's knocking that ball away.
Trish out with the 2 fouls, and the freshman Trevor Cooney is in.
What was that all about?
No time came off the clock. Now Jim Burr and Ed Corbett are going to talk about it. The ball hit somebody in bounds. It's possible, I guess it could have moved a fraction or 2, but stayed with 1 second showing. Timer apparently indicating yes, I did stop and start it. And Jim Boeheim says I'm fine with that.
Force it wide. That's what you have to do.
1 second did come off the game clock. Starks got rim, so no shot clock violation. Carter Williams to Cooney. Had a tough year shooting the ball.
Ooh,
and a tough pass in for Musakeda, who probably wouldn't do much with that there anyway.
I'm not sure that would have gotten through in high school, let alone this game. They'll be stronger with that.
But the zone really makes you use clock too. That's why you need a finisher. Somebody dribble drive, or as you noted earlier, hit that high post to make a decision.
Well, they can go over the top to Ayegba. He was wide open.
See, that's 1-on-1 there. An offensive foul.
I believe against Ayegba, as he was trying to set a screen on the edge of the lane. First foul on Moses, junior from Nigeria, came to this country in November 2009. Played high school basketball in Maryland.
Georgetown really can play tough shot under duress again. That's not what he needs.
He has not been doing much of that the last 2 games. He's been more of a pass-first point guard.
That's what they like in him.
Jim Boeheim said that before the game. Nice pass by Starks, and Lubick got the bounce.
And just like earlier, the ability to get in the gap and find hit. Now they got 2 things going. They got the high post and dribble in the gap.
It's like clockwork. You take a bad shot on one end, you give up something easy on the other. There's that stagger, and Lubick just trailing behind. You want to run Sutherland off that 3-point line. If he gets inside the line, gets a 2, that's one thing. You don't want him to get a 3.
Cooney, that'll help his confidence, shooting just 31% for the year. Redshirt freshman from Wilmington, Delaware, redshirted last year because they had so much talent at guard. Gabe Jardine, Dion Waiters, part of the Orange program last year.
Pretty good players. No wonder you would be sitting. But again, Williams with a great decision on that dribble drive baseline.
Starks. Yes. Into Ayegba, not much of a score, but there are 2 points for Moses, who averages 1.3 per game in about 10 minutes per contest.
What a pass. And that's why you have to have your hands active and ready just to discourage that. That was phenomenal.
And they didn't have the hands out, too. A great alleyway entry. Nice look here.
Musakeda fouled and a chance for a three-point play. Another nice pass by Michael Carter-Williams, who had 21 assists total in their victories here the last 2 days over Seton Hall and Pittsburgh.
He's got the message, I think, from Coach Boeheim. Oh, one end the pass by Starks. This a pretty good point guard with Williams. How about this one, Jay?
Carter Williams had to do that just to keep up. That is threading a needle. That got through 4 Orange defenders. What a pass by Markelle Starks.
Reese Davis with you. ACC tournament on ESPN2. Maryland and Duke. Terrapins jump to a quick lead. Seth Allen knocking down the three. It's currently 15-10. Just about to go to the 12-minute timeout.
Duke trying to enhance its bid for a #1 seed. Right now, Joe Lunardi has Georgetown as a 2 seed and Louisville out of the Big East as a 1 seed. A lot of action still to come this weekend that will have an impact on the seedings. By Musakeda trying to finish the three-point play. Not a good free throw shooter. 49% this year, 54 for his career for the junior from Senegal.
That's really been a difficulty for this Syracuse team, not getting point production out of the center position, whether it's Rakeem Christmas or by Musakeda. Dajuan Coleman, they haven't gotten much scoring at all. Good defenders, but
Jay, that's what put pressure on the outside guys too.
Yes.
They feel like they've got to take shots when they don't have good ones.
And you can't play inside out as easily.
Jim Boeheim was saying they don't need a lot from those big guys, but when they have shots they should make, they have to make them, and too often they don't make the little chippies. Porter from beyond the foul line. Hopkins way up in the air, but Jeremy Grant just into the ball game, wrestled it away, and the freshman was fouled.
Every rebound is contested.
I was like thinking the same thing. You know, if he comes along during this tournament run and the NCAA, it gets back to that Notre Dame level of play, you're going to have some solid help up front.
Jeremy Grant just needs to bring energy. Get to the glass, run the floor, be active.
You should heed that advice as well. Michael Carter-Williams fouled. He'll go to the line with a chance to tie it up.
He's playing lower, isn't he? Michael Carter-Williams. He's getting down and playing lower. When he caught that ball, he was low in the stance and ready to make a move, as opposed to playing straight up and down, which at times he can do.
First foul on Starks. Carter-Williams at the line.
It's interesting too, John, thinking why foul on the jump shot? You know, because he's not known to be a terrific shooter.
No. 39% from the field for the year and 28.6 from 3. Well, you'd think, as you say, Bill,
Lay off.
make him prove he's going to make those. More effective when he's a driver, and that's what he's been doing in the 2 games plus here in New York to bring the Syracuse offense back to life.
Well, they really extended on Porter, as they should be.
Porter fouled and a chance for a three-point play.
And that's what can happen. Even though it is a zone, you got to step out on him. Terrific breakdown sequence by one of the most talented players in the country, Jay.
Just a really good pass, too, by Nate Lubick. And there's got to be a better closeout there by Jeremy Grant. He's got to come out and keep Porter from getting past him.
He's pretty good at reading angles, too, knowing where he can get by. Looks slight, but a lot stronger in his ability to get by people.
6'8", 205, sophomore from a small town in southeast Missouri near Sikeston, now called Morley, of under 1,000 people. Missed the free throw. It's not often when Syracuse and Georgetown people agree, but the two coaches agreed before the game. Porter making another play. Jim Boeheim, as we said he might be the best player all around in the history of the Big East. John Thompson III said Otto Porter is the best player in the country right now.
I thought your comparison to Billy Owens was a pretty good one too. Billy was a very well-rounded kind of a player.
And they do it effortlessly, so smoothly. Obviously,
much
they're
like
expending
yourself.
effort, but they make it look like they aren't.
One of the most impressive things about Porter was in the last ball game. I'm not sure he even scored in the first half, but he did everything else, never panicked, didn't have to take a shot because he hadn't touched the ball in a while.
Where they are out on Starks. That is a deep shot.
Porter an offensive rebound, and short with the shot, and Fair came down with it for Syracuse, down by 3, nearing 9 minutes to go. Brandon Trish back in, playing with 2 fouls.
And Fair is terrific off the basketball. He's going to have to be with Porter shadowing him. Good strength.
Trish bumped before the shot, says Jim Burr, but that foul on Starks will put Georgetown over the limit. It'll be a 1-and-1, and it is the second foul on Markel Starks. And that's big. John Thompson said before the game, we need Starks, Lubick, and Porter to be good every night. We need all 3 of them at the top of their game to win.
And now with the 1-and-1 with just under 9 minutes to go in the first half, that means Syracuse needs to be even more aggressive, passing the ball and then putting it on the deck and putting pressure on this Georgetown defense to foul.
Trish with a couple of swishes. And it's Georgetown by 1. Stark stays out there with 2 fouls.
Porter hasn't been operating in the middle in the last few possessions.
I think John lets him have a free run. There it is now. Nice high-low. Pretty basketball.
He's just so good in there.
You ought to try coaching.
You just want to. Well, you want, like John Thompson III doesn't want to do that. I mean, but he is so good in the middle. It collapses the defense and gives him so many options, and he can take advantage of every one of the options.
He also knows the game, is a good field, directs his teammates where to be.
Trish. Sutherland had a little room, and when you give him a little room here in New York this week, he's going to knock it home.
Woo. On fire. All he needs is space.
He is 14 for 19 from beyond the arc in the 3 games here against Seton Hall, Pittsburgh, and now Georgetown.
Well, Jabril Trawiku is a really good defender and very physical. You don't see him lose people very often, but he lost Sutherland.
Smith, Rivera long. Porter had it. Lubick hits the deck, held ball, and Georgetown will keep it as they go to the arrow.
Good leaders direct you in a nice, soft way. Look at him running the show. Sean, pay attention. You can learn. Pretty.
And James Sutherland, you help off just a little bit. And they're going to find him. He gets his feet set, and that's the bottom of the net.
The standing room only crowd inside Madison Square Garden getting what it hoped for when they filed in tonight. Typical intensity in a Syracuse-Georgetown battle. And the Hoyas led again by the best player in the Big East, Otto Porter.
Not only an outstanding offensive player from a scoring standpoint, but an excellent passer. He's got an idea of where everybody is on the floor, takes advantage of openings, and he never gets rushed. He communicates, tells his teammates what to do. He got Nate Lubick that shot by telling him to come over and set a little pick for him, and he came up to the top. Really well done.
Yeah, Dean Smith used to say that he's the only guy that could hold Michael Jordan under 20 points. They know how to play basketball. Similarly, Porter on another team probably would get more shots, but he knows how to play within the system, getting a great feel and understanding of the game.
Trawick threw it away, tried to hit Starks in the corner. Well, you saw already for Porter, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He had the huge game in their first meeting up at the Carrier Dome, February 23rd, 33 points, a career high and the most scored by a Georgetown player ever against Syracuse. But
He didn't shoot as much in the last meeting Saturday, but he had 8 rebounds, 7 assists to go along with 10 points. Sutherland again. Wow.
Play him on no zone. They played a lot of zone both games they played against the Cuse.
Well, you have to know where Sutherland is, but without Michael Carter-Williams in there, JT3 electing to go with the zone.
That's just as easily could have stayed down too. Popped out.
Screen.
Great ball movement. Gets an open 3 for Smith-Rivera. Lubick trying to keep it alive. Trevor Cooney's getting a lot of minutes here in the first half. Came away with it for the Cuse.
Appropriate too now because of his deep threat ability.
Well, Boeheim going to put Michael Carter-Williams back into the game. Try to get some dribble penetration. One of the things that's most debilitating to his zone is dribble penetration. You move the ball, then dribble into a gap, get 2 to play 1.
Cooney a deep 3.
That kid's growing a little bit. Not afraid to stick it. With this kind of lineup Georgetown has, they can play small. They can play with 3 guys in Sutherland too. Might affect their zone though.
First lead of the game for Syracuse. Cooney has struggled with a shot all year, just 25% from 3. Smith-Rivera. Great rebound by Trawick, and then a block by Musakita. Run down in the corner by Fair.
Pretty high level of play right now, both ends. A little bit of a dilemma now. You got a lot of covers here if you're Georgetown in that zone. With Cooney, Trish, and Sutherland.
Well, now that Cooney's made one, they're going to be paying extra attention to him. That can free up Sutherland or CJ Fair.
Well, making the 3 makes a huge difference. That's been the story this week for Syracuse. They couldn't make any threes late in the year. Fair. Musakita left-handed tip that did not go.
You mentioned that Fair can hit a 3, but his best spot is at mid-range.
Starks, try to dump it down to Lubick. Deflected out of bounds. Georgetown 26 to shoot. Super Saturday. It's tomorrow. It's a great day of basketball. At 1 and 3, the ACC semis. Then at 6, Phillips 66 Big 12 championship. We'll have the Big East final from right here at the Garden at 8:30, and the Pac-12 championship at 11 on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN all day tomorrow.
A little bit good decision maker too.
He's in trouble, and he didn't even wait for the trap. He saw it coming and hollered for a timeout. He's the son of a coach. Nate Lubick played for his dad, David, at St. Mark's in New England.
Not a bad stroke here at Delaware. The Sanford School at its best. Goody.
5:09 to go in the first half of this Big East Championship semifinal. Syracuse leads by 3. Perhaps the only thing more fitting than this meeting in the semifinals would have been if they had met in the final tomorrow. They played for the first Big East Tournament championship back in 1980 in Providence, Rhode Island. Lewis Orr led Syracuse. Eric Sleepy Floyd starred for Georgetown. Orange had a chance to tie it. Then they were the Orange men, of course, in the final minute. Roosevelt Bowie called for a controversial travel. Jim Boeheim dresses much better than he did 33 years ago. Julie has a lot to do with that. Craig Shelton was the MVP of that tournament for Coach John Thompson Jr.
Well, they got after you in that press. He was right on the ball on the inbounds pass. Great defensive team. Nice hands by Williams.
The Big East leader in steals, Michael Carter-Williams with the slam.
Well, his head is up. What a different attitude.
Well, that's where Syracuse has been so dangerous, turning defense into offense.
Turning, look.
Nate Starks, tough shot. Ripped down by Cooney. What an unexpected contribution he's giving Jim Boeheim. Crowd want him to pull the trigger. The orange-clad fans, that is.
Quick closeout, though. He's dangerous. Jerry McNamara told us early in the year that in practice he can just light it up. They're waiting for a burst of consistency from him.
Well, just hitting one has made him a threat that Georgetown's having to pay attention to. That opens it up inside.
Exactly. Great point, Jay.
C.J. Fair, a little strong. And Nate Lubick, another rebound. 6 rebounds already for Lubick. Porter had a 3 rattle out, and Lubick is the last to touch.
They always face out, Jay, ready to go.
And that's having your hands ready and, as you say, available. Not just to discourage a pass, get a deflection, take it the other way. You have to be active. Even though you're playing zone, you still have to be active, and Michael Carter-Williams is that.
Now, this is in your Tavern League 2-3 on either end, by the way. Kick it.
Usakita's been in the lane a long time as Cooney hits another three.
Unselfish, fair.
Trawick called for an offensive foul. C.J. Fair held his ground, and so often on Broadway, an understudy gets a chance, and tonight it's Trevor Cooney.
On St. Patrick's weekend, he may be the Grand Marshal in Syracuse. He keeps lighting it up. Cooney to the goal.
I'm Reese Davis, Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report coming up. Big Ten semifinals, part of them set. You'll be seeing red. One of them is Indiana. Tries to do something they've never been able to pull off before. Top seeds being tested in the ACC. One passed the test, another is in the middle of one right now as Maryland is giving Duke fits after Miami was able to pull away late. And of course, it is that time, closing in on Selection Sunday. There are some bubbles that have been popped. We'll get you up to date when you come back at halftime, Sean.
All right, Reese, thank you. 22-17, Syracuse here. They continue to strike from three-point land, and today Sutherland's had help from Trevor Cooney. Georgetown hasn't made a three. Since Cooney entered the game, Syracuse has gone on a 19-8 run.
Well, I think when the ball goes through the net, and it had not been going through the net for Syracuse for quite some time before the start of this tournament, I think that helps your defense.
Nice
Great cut.
And now he's under the basket. 10 points for Cooney. That's the most he has scored in a Big East game. His previous high was 8 against Cincinnati in the Dome on January 21st. That was 14 games ago. He had 2 points yesterday and was scoreless in 3 of the previous 4.
I was watching the coach and the assistants. What a reaction, because they know how hard he's worked at becoming a player. Nice back cut and follow.
Beautiful execution, but Lubick couldn't finish. Off a wonderful setup by Otto Porter. Sutherland steps into a three that spins off for Devontae Smith-Rivera, the freshman from Indianapolis.
Not a bad reaction by Lubick. What a little slap back by Williams. He's finding people.
Georgetown can take advantage of some pass fakes and ball fakes here because Syracuse is really amped up right now.
Porter, whistle underneath. The foul on Sutherland.
Well, when you're known as a deep shooter, you figure, well, this guy's not going to make a little back cut, but just a terrific understanding of the overplay and go. That is really pretty basketball, huh?
He's got caught ball watching and a great cut by Trevor Cooney.
You know, the coaches have known all along he's capable of this. Syracuse fans know that as well. They've heard the coaches say it many times. This guy can hit him, and they still can't make a three. The Hoyas, and then it's flicked away by Porter. Out of bounds. Last touch by Georgetown.
Every coach you talk to talks about the interior defense of Syracuse. They are closing, and that looked like a layup. They got right up into Porter and negating opportunities left and right.
Mikhail Hopkins of Georgetown is setting some screens inside for Otto Porter to free him up, trying to get him into the middle, similar to what Nate Lubick did a little bit earlier at the direction of Otto Porter. And that's something they can get. I think they can continue to get that.
I thought you were finished. I should have known better. Hard to believe this is a Syracuse team that played Georgetown 6 days ago and scored 39 points for the game. And in the meeting on February 23rd at the Dome, scored 46 points in the game. Cooney again.
Look at this hustle. No easy baskets. Get back in position. Tough to beat them down.
7.5 minutes without scoring for the Hoyas. Down by 10. Under a minute to go in the first half.
You don't have to guard Lubick out on the perimeter just when he's in the middle or down low. They can recover late to him and make sure they're taking care of the inside.
Trawick ends the drought with a deep three. His first points of the night. Timeout Syracuse. They can't take it down to the first half buzzer. 6-second difference between game clock and shot clock. Huge basket for the Hoyas from Trawick. In 1983, the late great Jim Valvano led NC State through an unlikely 9-game run that culminated in one of the great national championship games of all time. His Wolfpack upset Phi Slamma Jamma and the heavily favored Houston Cougars. Survive and Advance, presented by Buick, the latest from ESPN's critically acclaimed 30 for 30 series that comes your way Sunday night at 9 Eastern on ESPN. Glad to get all the bracket information that you need. Finish your college basketball day with that documentary.
Of course, they're working on a 30 for 30 on the Big East, Sean.
Yes, it's got a crew following you around. I feel like you're working with Elvis and Pee Wee Herman.
What a combo.
Fair, the pull-up. Foul against Georgetown on the rebound action.
I think it's Hopkins underneath there with the checkout.
His second. And it'll be a one-on-one opportunity by Musakita.
And as you noted earlier, not the best at free throw shooters, so you better squeeze. It gives Georgetown an opportunity to creep closer.
It's one area where Georgetown struggles a little bit defensively, is they're not great at defensive rebounding. Not bad, but they're not great. And this is an outstanding offensive rebounding team in Syracuse.
Musakita, as we mentioned earlier, under 50%, but he made his only free throw tonight. Wow.
How about that? A little poise. Whew. Take that, Sean McDonough.
Yes. 3 for 3. Amazing when confidence rises, it seems to rise for everybody.
Nice trap.
Nice pull the string here. Offensive rebounding.
Need a shot. And Hopkins, no good.
Pretty impressive.
Really smart trap.
I guess that's why he wins over 900, huh? They listen to him on these days off. They're a different team.
For the people of the Orange, it's their last trip to New York City for this event. They want it to last one more night. Perhaps they're halfway there, but a long way to go. You'll recall yesterday, Boeheim's team led by 13 at the half and held on to barely beat Pitt. Here's Andy.
All right, thanks, Sean. John, how is Syracuse finding the holes in your defense?
They're just doing a good job of moving the ball around. We aren't doing a good enough job of paying attention to the shooters. You have to take away their threes. They're getting too many open looks.
How comfortable are you with your shot selection?
It's got to be better.
Thanks, John. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, they shot 31% for the half to the Hoyas. An unlikely start of the first half. Trevor Cooney, the redshirt freshman from Delaware. Here's Reese Davis, the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report.
Sean, thank you very much. Got a good one going in the Garden. So too in the ACC quarterfinals. Maryland and Duke. Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg alongside. Terrapins, of course, beat Duke in College Park earlier this year. Alex Lim will score here. What is significant about the pass, Seth?
Well, in the first half, Des Williams is either scored or assisted on every field goal.
How about Ryan Kelly getting loose inside?
Ryan Kelly, one of the most versatile players in the country, but this is a Maryland basketball team that feels that they can beat Duke. They did beat them at College Park.
16 points for Wells. As Seth mentioned, scored or assisted on every bucket. You saw him hit that last one there. He's 7 for 9 at last check, 16 points. So Duke is trailing at the half by 8. Kansas, look, it's early in the Big 12 semifinal, but you remember that intense game that we saw on Big Monday that the Cyclones had a tough call go against them late and ended up losing in overtime. 12-11 right now. The Fighting Hoibergs have the lead over the Big 12 co-champions. All right, guys, so we saw that first half there, and Syracuse is actually able to put the ball in the bucket against Georgetown, something they haven't been able to do in the 2 regular season meetings.
Yeah, Syracuse, their offense coach dictates their defense. In the first half at the beginning, they weren't scoring the ball. Their hands were down. Otto Porter was catching the ball in the middle of the zone, dicing them apart. They were making passes from the top of the key to guys flashing from the baseline. But all of a sudden, Trevor Cooney, they start making some three-point shots. All of a sudden, their defense gets a lot more active, a lot more energetic.
I think 2 things. Trevor Cooney, he had 4 points in the previous 5 games. He has 10 right now. Second thing, I thought Georgetown, interesting adjustment. Syracuse backs off the zone. Heels or toes to the top of the three-point line instead of extended out. So they kept the ball off the high post. If you keep it off the high post, now all of a sudden Otto Porter, he can't be a playmaker or a scorer from the high post.
So much drama last weekend for the last regular season meeting between these two, and now the final half of the Garden Party coming up in just a little while. Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report rolls on. Check in. Chicago in the Big Ten. There's a sea of red on one part of the day and some blue, part of the maize and blue in another.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2013 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, and Clear Men Scalp Therapy. Feed scalp, stop dandruff at the source. Perfect Man. Welcome back to the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report.
Big Ten tournament, Michigan and Wisconsin, a 4-5 matchup. Wolverines the 5 seed. Ryan Evans and Wisconsin had an 8-point lead in the second half. And how about the kick out to Ben Brust?
And how about Wisconsin scoring 17 points in the first half, but scoring 51 points in the second half?
I'm sorry, 51. You don't mean for the entire game. You mean like
in the second half.
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Who says they play slowly? Saw Trey Burke with a nifty move there. Frank Kaminsky put it in. Wisconsin, the aroma of victory, 68-59 for old Bucky Badger. Here's Illinois and Indiana. Tom Crean saw Tyler Griffey get loose and beat him when these two met in Champaign. Wasn't going to happen this time. There goes Cody Zeller.
Cody Zeller and Christian Watford, they played like guys that were ready to take over a basketball game. They combined for 39 and 15 boards.
How about Zeller finding Oladipo? 69-56. Jordan Hulls didn't have the greatest shooting day, but he did have some assists, and Oladipo going to put some style points on that one. 80-64.
Yeah, we see you.
Yeah,
we see you.
See it. Double-double. And so now Wisconsin and Indiana play in the Big Ten semifinals. Indiana's never won the Big Ten tournament. And Wisconsin, they've beaten Michigan 12 out of 13. And now they've beaten Indiana 11 in a row and trying to make it 12 straight. Bo Ryan's squad is dominated. These two rivals. We'll see if it continues tomorrow. Vanderbilt and Kentucky. Kevin Stallings has Vanderbilt playing its best basketball of the season, and Kentucky can ill afford a bad loss. Willie Cauley-Stein there to follow up the flush.
Somebody probably wants to box out Willie Cauley-Stein.
That would be
probably, yeah.
That would be a good idea. Better get out on the lefty, Shelby Moats. He knocked it in. And then Kyle Fuller. Kyle Fuller lost a lot of playing time last year, picked some up late, and he drives strong.
Brian Harrell, once again, you've got to contain the basketball. No straight line drives.
16-14. Tennessee was sitting on the bubble. One of those last 4 in, according to Joe Lenardi. Alabama among the next 4 out. Trevor Relaford.
Ooh, a little shake and bake right there. Relaford with 14 points. Alabama swept Tennessee this year.
No, they split.
Oh, they split.
They split in the regular season. And Trevor Lacey didn't have a great offensive day. Hits that one. And how about Levi Randolph? Some friendly Friday banking hours in Nashville, and the Crimson Tide might well have popped Tennessee's bubble. Alabama's got a shot at Florida tomorrow. ACC back to the tournament now, and you see North Carolina State and Virginia and the Fighting Gottfrieds. Oh, Scott Wood started feeling it, Seth.
And Scott Wood gets it going. You better chase him off those screens, make him put it down. Mark Gottfried's team, they always rise to the occasion. It's a great opportunity to erase the season's disappointments.
Gottfried saying, keep shooting, coach. Just get it to him, let him fire away.
Oh, our man, who was that? CJ? No, who was
Calvin.
It? Calvin is in the house.
Now, I'll get mixed up. Is Calvin the good?
Yes, Calvin's the good. CJ bad, Calvin good.
CJ bad, Calvin good. Okay, that was good. So Calvin made the bucket. I was going to call him CJ. I like CJ, you know? 75-56. So North Carolina State gets the win. That might have hurt Virginia's chances. Here's what Lenardi says: last 4, first 4, next 4, all that jazz. He now has Middle Tennessee back in the field by not playing. You know what? If we have another week until Selection Sunday, Middle Tennessee might be able to make their way to like a 7 seed. They're moving up by
a lot of ball left to play.
Big games in the SEC. Alabama-Florida is going to be a big one for the Tide tomorrow if they want to get in. Same deal with Ole Miss as well. Jim Larrañaga, Miami, top seed against Boston College in the ACC. And BC hung around in this thing for a while, Jay Will.
And how about Hanlon coming off that 41-point performance, held to 14 points today. And Shane Larkin was the key to this run, helping him an 11-0 run to end the game to win the ball game.
Under 40 seconds to play, it's just a 5-point game. Check out Larkin, Seth. Watch him work through the traffic.
Great job of shallow cut, running underneath, catching it over the top. Shane Larkin making big plays down the stretch. Great short clock and great special situation execution for the Hurricanes.
Miami, I think, for about the last 2 weeks, with the exception of the Duke game, has played with the weight of the world on their shoulders. Does that win help them?
Oh, most definitely. How about if Duke loses the ACC tournament, but Miami wins? Do you give them a #1 seed?
Yes.
You're going a long way down the road. Miami and NC State, that's tomorrow.
This halftime report is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. This halftime report is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
NBA, Lakers and Pacers. Now, did you really have any doubt that Kobe would play?
No doubt whatsoever. He's not injured. He's just inconvenienced. When you're inconvenienced, you keep playing.
Well, it's been inconvenienced to the tune of 0 for 4 from the floor, but the Lakers still have a 10-point lead on the Pacers at the moment. Atlantic 10 bracket looks like this. St. Louis and Butler are set for a semifinal match on Saturday afternoon. At the moment, VCU is getting a fight from the Martellis. It's 49-43 in the second half. Temple and UMass will play the nightcap winners, advance to the semifinals.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2013 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, and the all-new 2014 Kia Sorento crossover. It has an answer for everything. You're watching Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Welcome back to the Big East Championship, presented by American Eagle Outfitters. A huge part of Championship Week, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. First Big East semifinal of the night. Syracuse by 9 over Georgetown, and the big continuing story, the 3-ball for Syracuse. And the bench points, they got 10 unexpected points from Trevor Cooney and 5 from another unlikely source by Musakita. But it's a Syracuse team that for the year in Big East Conference games shot 29.6% from 3. In the 2.5 games here in New York this week, they're at 56% from 3.
In a different place mentally. They are attacking, they're moving the ball, and they are doing a better job of finding openings. You can see here after Michael Carter-Williams passes the ball, he sets a screen for James Sutherland, and Markell Starks was right into the middle of the lane, wide open. Then they get the ball inside. An inside pivot by the lefty C.J. Fair goes down to the baseline side, and Trevor Cooney, little baseline drift. He's wide open. You fly at him. He flushes it. He was 4 of 5, Bill, in that first half.
You never know when you're going to be good if you keep working at it. So there's hope for Sean when you think of this. But this kid put in a lot of daily drills and playing with some confidence on the biggest stage.
On the bench to start the half, but what he did was huge beyond the points and the momentum that it gave Syracuse. Brandon Trish had 2 fouls. He was able to stay on the bench, and it gave him some rest. He's played a lot of minutes the previous 2 days. Trish out there to start the half. Rakeem Christmas faced up and missed. C.J. Fair on the offensive glass. And finally, Mikhail Hopkins says that's enough of that. Here's Markell Starks the other way.
How about the hammer going right inside, knowing there are going to be openings because of the ability to shoot deep.
Well, they went stagger, and then got it into Christmas. But C.J. Fair is not going to get many easier second chance opportunities, even though it was challenged.
Lubick underneath to Mikhail Hopkins, and he powers in for 2. And the first points of the second half. Largest Syracuse lead was 10. And the largest Georgetown lead in the first half was 5.
Nice look by Lubick, too.
And Rakeem Christmas not going to last long in this second half either.
Fair. And the rebound to Lubick. Lubick, Trawick, Starks, Hopkins, and Porter begin the half for Georgetown.
A nicer ball movement. They get a little nickel dimer on Christmas. It was coming out anyhow, I think. Wrap around. Jim won't be happy with him. This Lubick has got a nice feel. You love Porter in there, but also Lubick can find people, make great decisions for a big guy.
When it comes to the bench in each half, it's been Christmas come early. Starks
A blue
missed,
Christmas.
and it'll go back to Syracuse. Christmas started the game, wasn't in for very long, and he's drawn the ire of the Hall of Fame coach again very quickly in this half.
That make him Scrooge?
Sometimes he is, and
Makes
even
him
he would admit it. He's been delightful here in New York, Coach Boeheim, charming the media. Fair, beautiful move to the goal. C.J. Fair with only 4 points. He's their leading scorer for the year at 14.5 a game.
He's one of the best players in traffic in college basketball. He just has a nice feel, understanding step moves and the completion.
Really one of the best players, period, in college basketball. Hadn't he had a terrific year, been very consistent.
Jay was hoping you would go play in traffic at some point here in Midtown Manhattan. Hopkins leans in. Count the bucket. Mikhail Hopkins. We talk about unlikely heroes on the other side. How about the performance Hopkins is providing the Hoyas?
Tell you what, moving the ball a lot better, Jay, aren't they? I mean, getting these opportunities because of the push-up, a lot more time to make some definitive moves.
8 points. He averages 5.7 per game.
The one problem you have when not going up to guard a guy like Mikhail Hopkins is it gives him some room to drive it on you.
I like that. G. Starks just Pat Williams on the side there. A great hustle play. 2 talented guards having terrific years.
This game has been intense from the opening tap.
Which is as it should be in the last meeting in the Big East for these two. Trish. Jim Boeheim thought he got hit on the arm as Trawick defended. If he wasn't hit, it was a horrible shot, nowhere near the bucket.
He was hit.
Trish also, I thought, you got a guy run at you like that. Pump, put it on the deck. And Bob Knight is smiling somewhere hearing that.
22 to shoot for Syracuse. Michael Carter Williams. He had 14 assists.
That's a foul.
And he's bumped down to the ground. Wednesday against Seton Hall, that tied the single game Big East championship record. More importantly at the moment, 3 fouls on a man they really can't play without, Markel Starks.
Good decision putting the pressure on him with the bounce, and it's a different Williams game right now.
John Thompson has said they can't play without Starks, so he's not going to play without him, leaving him in there with the 3 fouls.
Out of bounds underneath, went to a 2-3 zone. He played a little bit of that in the first half, not just on out of bounds under.
Sutherland for 3 more.
What a great job with that attack versus his own. Lubick actually on the wing had to come play that high, obviously tardy.
Well, that's why you would rather play him man. Now that they're starting to hit shots, especially Sutherland, you got to stay with them.
This match is the largest lead for Syracuse. 3 threes for Sutherland tonight. 15 in 3 games. He's 1 away from the tournament record. Lubick the offensive rebound. And then stripped by Michael Carter Williams.
Oh, don't need it.
Yep, tried to jam it in. Went for the highlight play to Sutherland, and it was broken up. Porter, well defended by Trish. Hopkins in the right place again. And Fair stripped it on the way up and was called for a foul. His first.
Now, all of a sudden, look where Lubick has to come on this particular play. Excuse me, here he comes. Look how far. He's the baseline guy. Just great analysis.
That's just typical pick and roll and replace action. All Sutherland did was replace from down low. You just can't lose him.
Georgetown has wobbled at the line tonight with that make by Hopkins. The Hoyas 4 for 9. The record is 16 by his assistant coach, who's on the bench tonight for Syracuse, Jerry McNamara.
Is that why he just told Boeheim to take him out?
and keep him out. That was the memorable run. Syracuse defended its 2005 Big East tournament title by winning in 2006. Similar to this year, it came here without much hope. Remember, Jim Boeheim told us before their first game of that tournament against Cincinnati, we have no chance to win. Even if we do, we can't beat the #1 team in the country tomorrow. Connecticut, there's the record tire. He is 16 for 23 beyond the arc, and Hopkins just about single-handedly keeping Georgetown within striking distance.
Lubick with the delivery, but you can't leave this kid alone. Whew. Pretty impressive.
The pick and pop, we talked about it earlier, well executed. Gets those feet set. You might as well count it the way he's been shooting.
Syracuse by 10, 16 minutes to go in our first Big East Championship semifinal tonight. Notre Dame and Louisville in the on-deck circle. Let's go inside the play inside Madison Square Garden. It's brought to you by Kickstart by Mountain Dew.
Well, we saw a little ball screen roll and replace action, but here they're just going to have a little pick and pop action. And instead of coming off the screen, it's essentially turned down here by Michael Carter-Williams. And Nate Lubick, who is guarding James Sutherland, is going to come right off him, and just a little throwback. Devontae Smith-Rivera can't get back in time. That's just too easy. You're leaving the best three-point shooter essentially in this tournament. He and Notre Dame's Pat Connaughton open to set his feet. They have not made him put the ball on the deck once tonight.
And you got to stuff him, I think. You got to hug him and push him. There's people in the back that have to help on Williams' drive.
There's Jerry McNamara, made those 16 threes in 4 games. Sutherland's done it in a little more than 2.5. Chance to shatter the record. Mateo Hopkins keeping Georgetown, and he has all 7 of their points here in the second half.
Nice job favoring the left. That's good defense.
C.J. Fair by Musakeda on the offensive glass. Held ball. Over it goes to the Hoyas.
Good ball. Possession Georgetown. On the floor.
James Sutherland, 20 in each of the first 2 games of this championship, and on his way to a big night tonight.
2006 is one of my fondest memories of a player in the Big East tournament, not leading down 15 and making a last-second play.
McNamara to Diemendorf, and they've got their first lead of the night.
You can't imagine doing it against your biggest rival.
Are you telling me there's no magic in this house tonight?
Jerry McNamara, a big contributor on that national championship team in 2003. And in 2006, the most outstanding player of the Big East Championship. And when you talk to him about his memories as a player in the Big East, it's the Georgetown games that come out of his mouth first.
You know, it's been a great run for these 2 programs. No question about it. Talking about great players and great moments. Who better than him? Against a lot of teams.
This is the 34th Big East tournament. These are the only 2 programs that have played in all 34 of them. Markel starts. No. Batted around and dropped by Keita. Still a scrum. Syracuse ball.
You don't often see Georgetown settle. And they settled for a challenge jump shot by Markel Starks. They've got to get Otto Porter established and involved. He's got to touch the ball. When he touches it, good things happen, and he has not touched it in far too long.
Revere's another guy that has to step up for them too. I mean, he's a good offensive player, very creative, and you have to be against this zone. Get in the gaps and make some good decisions or finish.
Ooh. Trish couldn't handle the pass from Carter-Williams. Wasn't a great pass, but he certainly could have caught it. And here comes Cooney for Trish.
You know, I think Jim felt he should have been moving in that direction, is why he took him out. What do you think?
Well, the pass was made to where he should have been, which was in the deep corner. And there's no question that's what he wanted him to do, was move.
And Boeheim has said Trish needs to play better if they're going to advance in this Didn't do well in the NCAA tournament next week. Little bump on Keita as Porter tried to move to the goal. And the good thing for Syracuse is, at least tonight, they have an option. If Jim Boeheim doesn't like what he sees from Trish, he can put Cooney in and not feel like it's not going to go well.
He plays like this, it's certainly another weapon and a better rotation in a sense.
3 fouls now on Keita, who's seen the bulk of the minutes in the middle of the back of this 2-3 zone with Christmas's struggles at the start of each half.
And go more to that point, Jay, getting Porter in the middle, let him find.
Trawick missed a 3. Suttle in the rebound, and then the handoff to Michael Carter-Williams, a sophomore from Hamilton, Massachusetts.
See what happens when he puts it on the floor?
That's not his game.
Exactly, although we have seen him with a pull-up jumper, but you're right, he needs to take it easy. He didn't want to turn on him. What can I do for you lately, Jimmy?
You know, I think the gesture was the way you're shooting it. Why wouldn't you shoot it? I mean, I know he wasn't beyond the arc, but still. Georgetown down by 10.
Got to be ready to pull the trigger. Rivera.
Starks, that's a deep 2 from Markel Starks, the junior, out of Georgetown Prep. Under 13 and a half to go.
It's that little pump fake, everybody bites.
Cooney had 10 points in the first half. Most he has scored in a Big East game. His career high is 15 against Monmouth. Boy, they're making a lot of strange passes at the moment.
Well, they're taking the ball into trouble and jumping in the air and trying to make a pass.
Nice look.
Cooney trying to show he can drive as well, and Smith Rivera banks it off Cooney and out of bounds. It goes to Georgetown.
All he needed to do was shoot the ball, put it on the deck, pull up, or shoot it on the catch. But Georgetown getting the ball to Otto Porter. When they drive it, then kick it back out, that collapses the defense. They drive the closeout. That's better basketball, and Georgetown is fully capable of doing that more often.
Starks for 3.
Nice kick out. Tough covers right now. Same principle, Jay. Get it inside. You got to turn and sneak a peek. Unhurried. Ooh, pretty from G-Town. Start. Delivery.
March is tournament time. Set up your ESPN Tournament Challenge bracket pool today. Go to ESPN.com/bracket. 7 unanswered points for Georgetown. They've come from 12 down to within 5 with a long way to go here in Madison Square Garden. 12.5 minutes remaining. Yesterday, Syracuse led Pitt by 13 at the half and had to hang on. Pitt got to within a point in the final minute. Trish in the lane short. It got deflected back out to him.
Georgetown with this man-to-man playing much better defense.
And now with the game tightening, Jim Boeheim's gone back to Trish with Cooney on the bench. Going to the 4-year starter, Trish, 141 starts. And it's Sutherland off the mark. Fair in the right spot. Fair to the goal. Musakita strip. Trish in traffic. And a chance for 3.
What strength that kid possesses. Physically imposing. Competes, and they're coming up with the loose balls. They want it more right now. The Hoyas have to match it.
Anytime that ball is on the rim, it is an absolute fight.
And a lot more fight being shown by Syracuse tonight. A lot more energy than their first 2 games this year against the Hoyas.
Rich Davis with you. Let's show you what's going on between Iowa State and Kansas Big 12 semifinal, and it is a little bit intense. Check out Ben McLemore, makes it 3 and tells Georgie Yang about it. Well, the officials felt like Ben said too much. Gave him a technical. Kansas has the lead at the half, and Bill Self lifted off. Probably fortunate he didn't get a technical.
And race championship week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods continues with SEC tournament action tomorrow on ABC starting at 1. Alabama, a big win today over Tennessee. Might have burst the balls bubble. They'll play the #1 seed Florida at 1, and then the winner of the game going on right now on ESPN3, Kentucky and Vanderbilt, will face the winner of a game to come later tonight between Ole Miss and Missouri. And the Rebels need to do some work in that SEC tournament. That's at 3 o'clock tomorrow. The Rebels and the Tigers. Here's Brandon Trish trying to complete a three-point play. And the lead back to 8 after Georgetown had their fans rocking, having cut the deficit to 5.
Such a strong, tough play made by Brandon Trish.
Nice. Well, good hands. That's the length. Sutherland contributed at that end.
Trying to get into Ayegba, who's come in for Hopkins. Trish a deep 3. They're all a part of the act on Broadway.
How about that combo? Beat you inside with the power, and that was deep and drilled.
Six straight points by Brandon Trish.
We got to get it to Porter.
Porter has not scored since 9:55 remained in the first half, and right on cue, there he is. And a timeout called by John Thompson III with exactly 11 minutes to go, leaving the Hoyas with 2 timeouts.
Oftentimes in transition, you can find a better shot than you can after running some offense, and poor transition defense by Georgetown, not finding shooters. Brandon Trish able to step into that shot. What a great pass by Michael Carter-Williams right in the shooting pocket.
He has been solid, and this kid, a personal triumph because he's been struggling the last couple of weeks. We saw that yesterday, rejoicing at his ability to drill the shot. But, you know, if you're Georgetown, you're going to go back. Maybe you're going to protect underneath because Trish hasn't been doing it on a regular basis, but that time made some pay.
Porter 3 out of 9 from the floor. And Brandon Trish, he perhaps more than any Syracuse player, personified their struggles offensively at the end of the regular season. Sutherland's been leading this unexpected 3-ball barrage here in New York. John Thompson III wasn't surprised. He said they have guys who can make threes. It was more surprising that they went through such a long stretch without shooting them well. He was prepared for carryover from the last 2 games into tonight.
He's starting to be a little more aggressive.
And a man now for the Hoyas. Syracuse has already scored more points tonight than they did Saturday at the Verizon Center. Keita winds up out of bounds. He thought he was fouled. Jim Burr did not concur.
Tough handle right directly down the lane like that, but not a bad idea by Trish.
Ayegba down low. They're not paying any attention to him. It's all Otto Porter in the middle.
Around the rim, he's okay.
Trawick. And the rebound by Carter-Williams, who's starting to lose his balance, so he tried to bang it off a Hoya. It's a turnover back to Georgetown, and Trish called for the foul, and that's his 3rd as he collided with Devontae Smith-Rivera. Smith-Rivera goes to the bench.
Not really aggressive on the perimeter, I don't think, getting into gaps with the dribble. The pass has been good, but occasionally getting your feet set and attacking would help and open things up.
Well, Georgetown hasn't been doing a lot of screening of his own. Good pass.
Hopkins kicked it out. Starks for 3.
Boy, nice job relocating by Starks. And then the find by the Hoyas.
Just getting the ball along the baseline opens it up.
And Hopkins has been Georgetown's best player tonight. 11 points, his first game in double figures. In 10 games, he has 5 rebounds and then that assist. Fair no with the floater. Musakita active again, and he banked one home.
Wow. Solid contributions by the big fella.
7 for Musakita, who averages 3.3 per game.
Tough entry.
Good catch by Porter.
Nice cut
by Starks. And he traveled. He was trying to fend off Carter Williams, who was going for the strip.
Georgetown not the best of offensive rebounding teams. Nobody blocks out. Mikhail Hopkins just went to jump for the ball by Musakeda, taking advantage of it. And he's played a lot of minutes in this game for Rakeem Christmas and has done an admirable job.
Syracuse +9 on the boards. In the 2 regular season games combined, the Syracuse bench gave them just 16 points. Tonight, the bench has scored 17. Whistle travel, says Jeff Anderson. Boeheim doesn't like it.
He's saying it's a fumble, but what a nice play by Williams, too, on that particular play. Right here.
The 11th Syracuse turnover, 8.5 minutes to go, an 8-point lead for the Orange.
I guess if somebody was jumping over you, you might walk too.
Starks tees up a 3 short. Wow, Fair and Lubick banging each other around, and they play on. They'll catch their breath for a moment.
Hard to believe there's been only 7 fouls in this second half with all the bodies banging. What an intense, great game this has been.
Sutherland with a great contest by Lubick, who looks to run the court. Carter Williams gets back and strips him. It'll be Georgetown ball after the media timeout.
Boy, pretty solid play by Williams, wasn't it? Covered, he was beaten. A great look by Porter, but the counter by Williams. Not just a passer and a pretty face. He plays both ends solidly.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by American Eagle Outfitters. Live your life. And in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And the Volkswagen Springtoberfest event. Visit VWDealer.com.
$7:55 remaining in another thriller between Syracuse and Georgetown. Here's the game track brought to you by DirecTV. And for the 3rd straight day here in New York, Syracuse leaning heavily on the 3-ball. Now 28 out of 51 against Seton Hall, Pittsburgh, and Georgetown. And it's James Sutherland leading the way. He has 16 of those threes over 3 games to tie the Big East tournament record. Jerry McNamara in 2006.
As impressive as he has been, the last few trips, Trowick in particular has played him in tough, hard, aggressive, defensive fashion.
Open 3 right out of bounds to Starks.
Nice setup.
A great screen by Hopkins.
His 3rd 3, all of them here in the second half. He and Hopkins have been the standouts for the Hoyas, who are back within 5, matching as close as they've been in the second half. They trailed by 9 at the break.
JT3 showing you something on that out of bounds. Well rehearsed and finished.
Trish splits the defense and explodes to the goal.
There's a toughness about that kid, which surprised me where he got a little down, Trish.
He's got a look in his eyes. He's attacking. Didn't settle for anything. Got it all the way to the rim.
Nice pass. Shoot it.
Porter, yes.
Well, you can't hesitate when you're going to open look against this zone. It might be the last one you're going to get.
Well, you have to find him. When that ball goes to the short corner, they're looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's Otto Porter.
We've talked a lot over the years about sometimes late in the game, Syracuse will slow the pace down and run the clock with the lead. Last few possessions seem a bit more slowly paced. Trowick called for his 3rd foul.
Well, Trowick not staying in the gap there to recover, or at least stunning. But once it goes to the baseline, that flattens out the zone, and Porter is wide open.
One rolls, now got it staggered this time.
Trying to get a three for Sutherland, but Georgetown so well coached all over that. Carter Williams lost it in the lane. Break opportunity for Georgetown. Porter spots up for three. Carter Williams leads the Orange, break the other way. Fair goes at Porter, and it popped off.
Wow, both ends. Break your heart.
6 minutes to go. A game worthy of this rivalry. Trawick attacks and was fouled.
This is Big East basketball, guys, right now. Just going after one another. A lot of heartbreak in this game. Easy to get disappointed. You think you got it knocked down. How about that one? No doll on that little pitch.
And then Fair had one that rolled off at the other end. 2 fouls now on Sutherland. Trawick didn't get the bounce.
Georgetown hurting itself from the free throw line.
Yes.
They were 4 for 10. I don't know what they are now.
4 for 11.
Very good.
Missed to 4 for 10.
I'm not sure what sheet I have here, you know.
1 out of 2 for Trawick. This is as close as they've been in the second half. Reminiscent of yesterday for Syracuse when they barely held on at the end. And I'm thinking if I'm Jim Boeheim, you know, your team has played with energy and aggressiveness and enthusiasm and confidence, and they've succeeded. If you start to pull the plug, you know, you get them back to where they've been the last few weeks, standing around, harder to generate offense.
Why don't you wait till they pull the plug?
Well, don't you think these last several possessions have been a lot slower?
Maybe the defense, they've been running it, but I think the defense has really gotten out on those screens for them and makes you hold it a little longer.
Then Micah Carter Williams took it the other way. C.J. Fair just missed one. I mean, they really pushed the tempo.
Really tough along.
But you had to there. I mean, you had a 3-on-1 break on a long rebound.
But they got the 3-on-1 because he pushed it.
I'm talking about when they're in their half-court offense. Mike Bray arriving, and the Cardinals, the defending Big East tournament champions, are here as well. That'll be the second semifinal of the night. 6th trip to the semifinals for Notre Dame. They've never been to the title game. Mike Bray for many years has talked about the drive to get to Saturday night. Will they make it to tomorrow night's final? They'll have a tough act to follow, the Irish and the Cards. Fair.
Pretty good look.
Porter did such a good job defensively to challenge that.
So long, isn't he? I like him when he's active like this. This is what he did up at the Dome, really creating havoc with his availability.
Porter underneath, trying to get it to Hopkins, and Syracuse saw it coming. C.J. Fair in this game is 2 for 14.
And a lot of good. I don't remember a bad shot. I think, as Jay said, it's just Porter, sensational defensively, and a little nickel dimer. Is that on Starks?
Yes.
Wow.
And that is his 4th. With 5 minutes to go, their floor leader, 1 foul away from disqualification.
And he just said to John, "Leave me in, JT."
They don't have options. They could put Smith Rivera back in, really the only guard sub they play with. They played with 7 men tonight. The only subs, Ayegba and Smith Rivera.
See if they match up. The man's good. They got out of the zone. I think that's important. Don't give any open looks.
Syracuse has played with 8 men. Cooney, Lucicata, and Grant off the bench, and Grant's played very little. Essentially, it's been 7 against 7. Carter Williams, no with the 3. Porter in traffic, and then Trish backed off. He didn't want to get another foul. Four and a half to go.
Kate has got to be active in the middle.
Lubick.
Fair does close quickly in the back when it does get in the middle.
Trawick got away from Carter Williams. Jams it underneath for Lubick. He's stripped by Carter Williams. 9 seconds to shoot. Trish got a hand on it. Hopkins, a runner. Yes, off the glass.
Wow, what a big time delivery. Right at the bell, too. Woo, with the kiss.
Sutherland underneath. Musakita all alone. He's fouled.
Good giveaway. They could give it to either one. I think Lubick got him, but boy, coming down the stretch, you need guys that can do some damage and play with some confidence. The big fella. Well, a little smooch. Welcome home. How about that? Is that one of in your bag, Jay?
Reese Davis with you in the studio. ACC quarterfinals, Duke and Maryland. The Terrapins already have one victory over the Blue Devils this year. Alex Lynn had 19 in that game. He only has 8 tonight. Terps with 5 minutes to play, up by double figures. Game on ESPN2. Kentucky's been down by as many as 20 to Vanderbilt. Calipari's Cats trying to rally, and Kansas has a little breathing room on ESPNU. The Big 12 semis against the Cyclones.
Reese, thank you. We welcome you back to the Big East Championship semifinal, a huge part of Championship Week, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. A classic between Georgetown and Syracuse. We look at who's ruling the court, brought to you by Verizon. And for 3 days, it's been James Sutherland. 16 made three-point field goals, tying his assistant coach's record. But Georgetown's done a good job here for much of the second half, denying him opportunities to add to that total. Musakita at the free throw line for 2.
How about this kid?
Unreal.
Yeah.
He hasn't missed from the line tonight. 48.6 for the year. He's 4 for 4.
Turned into Mark Price.
He can't sing, though.
And the first one looked a little lucky, but since then, the last 4 have looked like a high percentage free throw shooter. 4-point game. 3:41 to go. Starks to Porter with Smith, Rivera, Hopkins, and Trawick, and Lubick's on the bench right now.
Cata's got to make choices here between Hopkins and Porter.
Hopkins having a night. Not that time. Blocked by Sutherland. 12 to shoot for Georgetown. Sutherland shut off Trawick. Smith, Rivera, the pull-up.
That's the guy. I mean, he's got some offense. Take advantage of your ability.
They've been going with that double high screen, that wheel action, and they're going back to it.
3 minutes to go.
On the catch ready.
Cata was open again.
Cata rolled to the bucket and fouled on a reach-in by Smith Rivera. That will not send him to the line. It's the 16th foul. It's the second personal on Smith Rivera. Each team with 6, so the next will be the 1-and-1 each way.
Looking opposite, this kid has some offensive ability and confidence. Just got to take advantage. I thought that was a pretty clean play. I mean, that's a lot of basketball.
Well, the plug has been pulled. And now they start to run their offense. The Jim Boeheim held up 5 fingers.
Can't hold up more, can he?
Well, there's another hand.
Not this trip.
And a bunch of assistants. Carter Williams, no. And the player of the year, Porter, in the right spot. 2 to tie and 3 for their first lead of the second half. Hasn't been tied since it was 17 apiece. The last Hoya lead was 17-14.
They get it along the baseline. They've got Porter on a dive. Hopkins has been open down there.
The danger in that far corner is that trap. Opposite.
Here come to trap Trawick, who was fouled instead. Both Sutherland and Trish there, and it's going to be the 4th on either one of them. It's on Trish. So he's one away from extinction, and now Jabril Trawick will go to the line with a chance to tie it.
I mean, it was a great read by both of them, but just over-eager, overzealous, reaching in.
1-and-1. Makes the first. He's 71% for the year. Two out of 3 from the line tonight. Tied up.
And he's the guy that stepped up on Sutherland.
trying to post C.J. Fair, but Porter was all over him.
Carter Williams drives, took a hit, no. Musakita fouled on a reach-in. And Jim Burr says it's a two-shot foul as Musakita was on his way up. Trawick needs to be careful. He ran the length of the court.
Yeah, you don't want to
being whistled for his fourth.
When Georgetown went for the shot block, that opened up the offensive glass for Keita.
That was a tough one.
It looked like Trawick had a beef.
Yep.
So here's Keita, 54% for his career starting tonight. 48 and change this year, 5 out of 5. That one stays down. Julie Boeheim.
Cheering and praying. Pretty good combo.
Box out's big here.
Nothing more agonizing than being a coach's wife in a time like this. Will Boeheim coach one more game in this conference, or is his remarkable run done where he's had so many great moments? Fair got a hand on the pass. Out of bounds off Trish. Georgetown ball, 16 to shoot. 104 left in regulation.
And that's the problem when you get baseline with the big guy. If that's Porter, he can make that decision, so it's a tough combo. Great look, but boy, you got to be careful on the entry.
Just great reaction by Syracuse.
These two spirited rivals savoring one last opportunity to punch and counterpunch in the world's greatest boxing venue. Underneath, great block by Fair, who couldn't save it.
Well, they close like there's no tomorrow. Look at the reaction. You mentioned Fair, a nice combo. Oh.
2 to shoot for Georgetown. Starks to inbound, great decision maker. Lobs it in for Hopkins, needs to shoot. He didn't know the situation of the time on the shot clock.
Well, they were very lucky too. That was a basket at the other end.
Now yesterday when Pittsburgh got within one with 31 seconds to go, Michael Carter Williams held the ball, went to the line as Pittsburgh fouled him, and he made all 4. So you know Boeheim will likely try to keep it in his hands. Georgetown doesn't need to foul on this trip. They can take it down to about 12 seconds and a timeout call. Well, gentlemen, we talked in the opening of the telecast about how fitting it is, given what's happening to the Big East this weekend. It's falling apart as we know it, that these two teams played one more time, and how lucky are we that we've been able to watch this one more time.
It's been a magnificent fight, and it's been a battle in every sense of the word, in every area of the floor. Battle on the glass, battle on the floor for the ball. It's been really well played.
You really have a feeling that they both have a sense of history too. You know, they've all lived it in a way and experienced it, and leaving everything out there. Just a great finish to this great rivalry.
So let's get into this end of the game situation now. What are these two teams talking about?
Well, they've been running, Syracuse has been running some staggers. They've done a pretty good job of setting that double ball screen, then going down to get Sutherland. But Georgetown's done a really good job of pressing up on him. And I think they can get something under the basket if they do that again, because they're going to be looking for Sutherland and Michael Carter Williams, Trish, and the like. I think Fair and Keita, if he's still in there, are guys that could wind up getting a bucket if they overplay some of the others.
I think if there's a ball screen, I would trap it, to be honest with you. See if you could shake them up.
John Thompson Jr., John Thompson the Elder, said after the Georgetown win last Saturday in Washington, D.C., which completed the regular season sweep of the 2 games for the Hoyas, kiss Syracuse goodbye. Well, that farewell was premature. Here they are again. That comment did not sit well with Jim Boeheim. And it was just one more bit of spice added to this rivalry by Thompson the Elder.
Well, I spoke to John before the game, and he was saying to me he didn't mean that at all. He just meant it's over. Let's go, move on. But it added something.
Carter Williams guarded aggressively by
Smith-Rivera, now Sutherland to Fair. Fair's a very good free throw shooter. Fair with 10 seconds to shoot. Having a dreadful night, 2 for 15. Interesting option with time left to get another shot.
Why would he take on Otto Porter one-on-one like that?
After the night as well. I think they wanted him to post up, and he stepped out.
Fair, 2 for 15 tonight. 5 for 16 yesterday. And Jim Boeheim, clearly that wasn't the play. He's making a face at Fair to say, what was that? 7 for 31 now in the last 2 games. But you can make the argument he has been their best player for most of this year.
That he has. He's been terrific. But if you're going to drive it, fine. But you got to give credit. Georgetown came out and really pressured. They put a lot of pressure on Michael Carter-Williams. But I think Porter is their best defender.
You know what? He jumped on that left hand, too. So all of a sudden he knows he can't go right as well. He settled for the jumper. But now I think it's got to be touched by Porter at some point. Even baseline, hide him, high post, dump it down, some sort of penetration, or put him on the foul line or flash it.
If he touches it in the middle, I think he looks opposite or looks to a shooter on the perimeter. This strikes me as they can get a perimeter shot here rather than a ball that would be tipped inside if they decide to go short corner or try to get it low.
They could take it all the way to the end. Do they go with enough time for an offensive rebound or second chance?
You have to. You know, Jay's point, too, a lot of times you're looking to get it in that foul line. All of a sudden the defense does collapse. You might end up with a good-looking 3 to win it all.
But you've got to screen the zone, do something quickly. You don't have a lot of time to make a bunch of passes here.
And then you got to take rebound. Both teams, you got to stick them if you're Syracuse and be creative with a little slide to the 10 here for the Hoyas.
And the inbound play, you have to watch, too, that the shot's going to be taken right away. And oftentimes you look at the inbounder being Starks.
Starks to Porter.
Pick and pop.
Porter, 8 seconds to go. Porter fouled on the drive. And it's a 1-and-1. C.J. Fair. Wow, all the bumping and whacking that they let go in the Big East. And a little brush foul, it seemed, from over here.
Smart, though, put the onus on the official.
Wow.
And he's got to give ground, and he did ride him.
Second foul on Fair. 2 to tie the game. Otto Porter excels at everything, and he's a 79% free throw shooter for the season.
Hughes has that one timeout, so
I don't think you use it. I think you get this ball all the way to the rim.
Tied again.
Got to do it quick.
And Carter-Williams goes quickly. Carter-Williams slipped as he hit the three-point line. No. Carried around overtime. Well, Carter-Williams' strength is not the outside shot, and you could read Jim Boeheim's lips saying, you got to go all the way. I mean, his game is drive, score inside, and as you said, Bill, make the officials perhaps make a call at the goal, but with 7 seconds to go, he has plenty of time to go coast to coast.
And also, you got to push and look ahead, too. He was just set on winning the game himself. You admire him, but go to the rim, put the onus on the official, and this Georgetown time showing some mettle coming down the stretch, particularly on the defensive end, Sean.
They were down by 9 at the half. Largest deficit was 12. So you'd have to think in this situation, momentum now on the side of Georgetown. I mean, they were behind for almost the entire second half. They never led in the second half. All they did was get even.
They like the pace of the game like this, too. You know, they like to have it in control, be aggressive at times, but particularly with Porter in that free throw area.
Really 2 issues of poor decision-making by Syracuse. That's why this is a mental challenge to move on. It was C.J. Fair's bad shot against the defense of Otto Porter. This was just a set, a little step back. There was really no reason with that much time on the clock to have that be your shot. And this foul by C.J. Fair, you know, what do you call this, Bill? A nickel dimer?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a foul, but Sean's point that it's not a Big East foul.
No.
But Michael Carter-Williams has to get that ball to the rim. I mean, we talked about it while Porter was on the free throw line. You've got to get that ball the way to the rim because Georgetown does not want to foul.
Jim Boeheim telling Ed Corbett he didn't like that call unfair, as you saw. So here we go. Musakita will take the jump against Hopkins, and they have both been performing in a starting role tonight.
Ooh, a little too hard by Hopkins.
Hopkins swatted it out of bounds. So Fair will play it in with Carter Williams, Trish, Musakita, and Sutherland. And they haven't gotten Sutherland a shot in a long time.
He's been well defended. Trawick's done a great job sticking with him.
Look at this kid.
Trish all the way to the bucket.
He is a tough kid. Got a ticker. And boy, how do you get that free going to the rim defensively?
He has started every game of his career. He's never missed a game. 141 starts. Tonight he broke the record that he shared with Derek Coleman.
Well, they had something here for Starks if Trawick drove it.
Trawick with Starks, Porter, Hopkins, and Smith-Rivera. They still have not led since it was 17-14. Hopkins, tough catch, held ball, and the arrow keeps it with Georgetown with only 6 seconds to shoot.
Boy, containing the dribbler, he just refused the screen, anticipated jump to the right. But here, this is a pretty good catch in traffic. A tough little play.
After the problem on the inbound play when they had 2 seconds, you know they're all aware of the time now. Porter stripped from behind by Trish. And then Porter knocked it out of bounds. Dangerous play by Trish with 4 fouls.
That's, tell you what, it's a big-time play, though. Got a piece of the ball. Experience. Oh, my goodness. Where are you in a hurry? I know Sutherland can catch and shoot it, but impetuous.
We got to move on to the next play now. Exactly. A mistake made, but you got to let it go.
Close the chapter.
Boy, some poor decisions made by Syracuse in the last 4 possessions.
And still they lead, and now Porter bumped to the ground. All 3 officials had that call. It's on Musakita, and that's his 4th. So Trish and Musakita of Syracuse with 4. Starks and Trawick of Georgetown have 4, and Porter will have a chance to tie it again.
What JT3 has done is turned into one-on-one with Musakita, and he just can't contain Porter. He knows he can either make the play or find somebody.
Missed the 1-and-1, and Sutherland slapped it away from Hopkins, and Musakita ran it down in the corner. Only 1 bucket in the overtime from Brandon Trish of Syracuse.
Squeeze box.
And Starks is just fouled out. Well, if Jim Boeheim didn't like the nickel dimer called on Fair at the end of regulation by Ed Corbett, they're probably even now, because that was a pretty weak foul to get your 5th.
Your leader, step-up shooter. Boy, real disappointment. He knows Trish is going to attack.
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Let him play on both ends.
Yep.
You let him play all season long.
Now, maybe the loose play of last night, trying to tighten it up, but that's a tough one.
Would you agree that was even less of a Big East foul than Fair?
Yeah.
The consistency is an issue. There's no question. But those are fouls, both of them. But they just aren't called in this league. And they're not called by these 3 gentlemen.
So it'll be Trish. It's the 8th Hoya team foul. So this is a 1-and-1. Trish 3 for 3 tonight, 75%. No.
With Lubick in the game now, guys, that gives him another decision maker, so Porter can be more available.
It gives you 1 less shooter.
Yeah, that's a big
You don't
issue.
have to guard him. You can get to him late.
Well, that's why I get him on the line and let him find.
It's Trawick and Smith-Rivera. The others, you obviously have to find Porter, but he's not hanging around on the perimeter.
The 3-ball's not been a weapon for Georgetown tonight. 4 for 15. The 3s were huge in the game last Saturday between these 2 from both Smith-Rivera and Starks. Smith-Rivera for 3. A little short. Rebound Trish. Carter Williams 1-on-1. Will he go at Smith-Rivera? He did. He didn't make it.
Look at this.
Musakita there.
Pretty impressive the way that kid has stepped up. Goodness. You never know.
He's terrific after Christmas, isn't he?
Trawick down the lane. Off for Hopkins. And a chance for 3. Fouled by C.J. Fair.
Whew. Are they making some plays now? Coming down crunch time.
What?
This has been available. The drive draw dish.
What an adjustment in midair.
And just running the floor. That's all you ask.
No for Hopkins. Boy, he and Musakita having sensational nights. 15 for Hopkins. Musakita's at 13. That's 2 shy of his career high. And that 15 points he had was against Wagner. 2-point game. Brandon Trish.
Dangerous. Going left. They let him go.
Not taking any chances. Had a dreadful 2 games. Shooting the ball. Went for the dunk.
Smith Rivera, nice split. Porter for 3. Lubick had it. Slapped away. And Corbett says last touch by Georgetown.
All game, Porter has jumped on the left hand of Fair. Fatigued that particular trip. Did not get in position to turn him. What an attack. Better than Fair.
Well, that's why you don't want him taking jump shots. What a finish by C.J. Fair.
A minute and a half in overtime. Carter Williams bumped by Trawick, lost the ball.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The play was designed on the left with Trish coming off. I know he fell, but just maintain your composure. He's too talented.
Yep, and kind of a typical performance in some ways. A lot of positives for Carter Williams and the 6 turnovers as well.
Well, it's also an issue of consistency.
Again, you talk about the consistency of the bumping, too. Trawick hit him harder than either Fair or Starks hit their players they were guarding when they got called for the controversial foul. Porter took a bump. No whistle there. Carter Williams. And he'll pull it out with a 4-point lead and under a minute to go. And he's fouled by Smith Rivera. And that's the 9th, so it'll be the last 1-and-1. Jim Bird just told John Thompson III that he's heard just about enough. 3 fouls on Smith Rivera.
Pretty good look here, huh?
Timeout Georgetown. So the sophomore, Carter Williams, will have a little time to think about it. 51.8 in overtime. And big free throws coming up. But first, here's Reese Davis.
All right, Sean, the final seconds of the ACC quarterfinals over on ESPN2, and Maryland is about to finish off Duke, and now they have 83-74. Duke, the 2nd seed in the ACC, goes down to Maryland, and Kentucky getting hammered in the SEC quarters by Vanderbilt.
All right, Reese, thank you.
This should put some hair on your head, this move. So, fellas, you better watch it.
Yeah, let's see it over and over again.
Oh, see, he didn't jump on that left hand, Jay. The hammer. Send it in. Whew. I wouldn't want to be under there, would you?
Too many times have been. What a terrific move by C.J. Fair.
I just think of Jim Boeheim saying when he settled for that jump shot, drive it, drive it.
Well, when it ends, it'll be the last time here for Syracuse. And, you know, there'll be a lot of sadness in Orange Nation. Georgetown staying in the Big East Conference with the so-called Catholic 7. They'll continue at least for a few more years to play their tournament in here. And it'll be Williams, Carter Williams at the line. Again, if you weren't with us earlier yesterday, with Syracuse clinging to a 1-point lead in the final 31 seconds against Pittsburgh. He made 4 for 4 in the last 31. 52% of the games in overtime are decided by 5 points or less. And this one joins the list of dandies.
Amen, Sean. I just hope they continue somehow. Home and home, or a neutral site, or a 3-game series. 1 up, 1 neutral, 1.
They've been talking about it. Both schools have said they'd like to do it. You know, part of the uncertainty in putting together a non-conference schedule is you still don't know if you're Georgetown, how many teams you're going to have in your league and how many league games you're going to have to play. So
That's been put off. Carter Williams is the last 1-1. The next foul against Georgetown will mean both teams are in the double bonus. He's 1 out of 2 from the line tonight. Ooh, short and right. Down by 4. Here come the Hoyas without their floor leader Starks. It'll fall on the freshman Smith Rivera, and now Porter.
You want to force them to use clock. Ooh, they get a small.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Nobody knew what that was.
No one knows. Wow.
Said he grabbed his shorts.
Well, again, it might have been a foul, but for the entirety of this Big East season, it hadn't been. Well, I guess he had a hold of his shorts. Yep, they have to call that.
Well, the thing is, you wonder why he would do that.
Perhaps fatigue. Third game in 3 days. Porter makes them both.
Maybe they give enough deal with it.
They press. Now will they retreat? There is about a 5-second difference. Will Georgetown foul? Carter Williams goes to the goal. Trish, whoa, thought about a free. 20 plus on the shot clock.
Timmy almost lost his jacket.
They can take it down to about 5 seconds, and John Thompson doesn't want him to take it down any deeper. And that's the 10th foul, which is huge. You saw Trish missed the front end of a 1-1 earlier. At least now he knows in his mind as he goes to the line he has 2. It's the second foul on Porter.
I like that give. Extend the game.
Syracuse players not along the lane. This second half in overtime reflective of Trish's season. A lot of ups and downs. Huge free throw. Spins off. A 1-possession game.
Did I give it?
Yeah, do you foul if you're Jim Boeheim? Well, John Thompson III is going to let Boeheim talk to his team about that as he calls timeout. He's without Markel Starks, the terrific three-point shooter at 42% for the year. He's fouled out, but Porter's an excellent three-point shooter, as is Smith Rivera.
Probably step that zone. If they're not going to give it, they're going to have to move the zone out. You're going to have to match up and concede maybe the post entry. Let somebody go to the rim and just have the deuce.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do, because you match up first with guys like Porter and Trawick. The others you can recover a little bit late too, but Porter has got to be your primary focus.
We talk about the history. Syracuse over the years known for poor free throw shooting. 1 out of 4 in this overtime. Carter Williams and Trish have had a chance to perhaps salt it away. They're both 75% plus for the season. Do you go for a quick 2 if it's there, or?
I think you do. If you can get to the rim right away, Sean, I would. Then get your defense set. You know, maybe a trap, and then a giveaway or a gamble on the pass and give it.
Porter and Smith Rivera, the 2 best shooters on the floor, and Smith Rivera has got deep, deep range.
They're going to play way above.
Lubick set a screen for him. Looks like they're playing for a 3-point shot. Porter trapped, leans into the double team, and throw it away to Fair. Foul with 3.2 seconds to go.
Well, you don't have to give it when you play defense like that.
Just an excellent trap along the sideline.
They're good at doing it on their own. That's what makes this team pretty tough in the defensive end. Great anticipation. The size of Williams on the close certainly hampered and forced that turnover.
Well, what an answer by Syracuse. When Markel Starks went out, that changed the entire tenor of this game.
Fair, if he makes 1, it's just about ball game over. Another miss.
I would put people on the line now.
Yeah,
and say don't go over the top, but just to extend the defense a little bit. Don't let them push it quickly.
I'd just make it.
That would help.
1 out of 5 in overtime, and it rattles out. Time for Georgetown. Trawick, a half-court heave of the buzzer. And Syracuse's stint in the Big East will last for 1 more night.
turnover in the final seconds. Jim Boeheim's patented 2-3 zone. That's what he's known for more than anything else. And that trapping zone forced the turnover. That cemented the victory. John Thompson Jr. kissed Syracuse goodbye. Jim Boeheim's team came back to give the Hoyas a smack.
And how about the hammer by Farrah? I mean, what a big play. That drive to the rim and just sensational finish for a guy who struggled and didn't make some real good typical fair decisions.
Just the second loss ever for Georgetown as the #1 seed in the Big East Championship. 15-2 all time as the #1 seed. The only other loss was in a title game to Pitt in 2008. And the Orange will enjoy all that New York has to offer for one more night. Musa Keita, 13 points and 8 rebounds. Sutherland, 13. All of that early. Trish, 13. And who can forget Cooney's 10 in the first half. Jim Boeheim will coach one last game in the Big East Conference. Jay?
Jim, coming into this Big East tournament, a lot of people might have thought that Syracuse was dead and buried. Well, clearly not. What are you most pleased with in your team's performance against Georgetown?
I thought we were half bare. I thought we had a lot of dirt on us. I was eating some dirt. You know, I'm just so happy these guys were able to bounce back. We hadn't played offense for 5 or 6 games, and you can't win without offense. Our defense has been good all along. But tonight and yesterday, our offense got better. Second half, we went back and struggled. But that's because Georgetown and Pittsburgh are great defensive teams. But our defense and our heart really won this game. We made some really bad mistakes, but we just wouldn't give in. And, you know, when you lose to a team by 20, 15, 20 points and 10 points at home, that's a hard thing to overcome. And I'm really proud of these guys to be able to do that.
The contributions in the first half from Trevor Cooney and the second half from Musa Keita, how important?
Well, his mother told me, Trevor's mother looked at me last night like, why isn't my son playing? So I said, okay. So I just put him out there. You know, I probably should have put him out there earlier. He played great, really great, and Bai was great. You know, it's just so good to win this in the last Big East tournament. I think it evens us with Georgetown 7-7 for the history of this tournament, and there have been a lot of great games. But to get through the finals is special to me, especially because I remember Dave Gavitt telling us this would work, and we all said no. And of course, Dave Gavitt, as he was, as you are, is always right.
Well, congratulations on the win. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks, sir.
He's a fascinating man, complex man, Bill. You've known Jim Boeheim for a long time. We've seen when he can lash out at the media in particular, but there you saw the softer side. Tears in his eyes as he reflected back on the man who founded this conference that he loves so much, Dave Gavitt, in a league in which he'll coach for one more game.
It's interesting to try to explain him to people.
You can't.
So he has such a variety of friends that are unusual characters. Gary Williams, P.J. Colosimo, and he's enjoyable to be with, and just loves this game. And what he said about Dave, I think we could all echo.
When we talk about what's fitting, and perhaps it's fitting given all that he's meant to the league, and he's the only one who's been in it from the start. He'll get one more shot at a championship, and it wasn't without a fight to the finish as usual by Georgetown. Trawick had the half-court heave that wouldn't fall, and Jim Boeheim knew the numbers. They are indeed 7-7 all time against each other in the Big East Championship. So the Cuse limped into New York City, but 3 victories later, they're set to play for the title against either Louisville or Notre Dame. And they've had some memorable battles. 5 of the last 7 between those two schools have gone into overtime. Should be another great one. Final score in overtime, Syracuse 58, Georgetown 55. College basketball live scoreboard coming up, and then we'll be right back for Notre Dame and Louisville. Here's Reese Davis.
And Notre Dame and Louisville have quite an act to follow after that. So Syracuse, as Sean said, remains in the Big East for a little while. Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg here. When you look at this game and the way that Syracuse had played in the first 2 games against Georgetown, let's talk on the floor first, big picture later. What's the biggest difference in what Syracuse was able to do in this game?
I thought it was a huge defensive adjustment by Jim Boeheim. The ability to play toes to the three-point line as opposed to extend out with those 2 guards, keeping the ball off the high post, limiting Otto Porter, 4 for 13, but most importantly, limiting him from catching the ball in the middle of the zone where he can score it or be a ball mover. And that Musa Keita, playing him more minutes in the second half. So his ability to play the high post and then recover back, his ability to run the floor, get to the offensive glass. I think those two defensive adjustments, Ba Musakita, his ability, athletic ability, and then shrinking the court a little bit at the top of the 2-3 zone, keeping the ball off the high post, I think that was key.
I think the ability to move on to the next play was huge for Syracuse. I mean, those are two really bad plays towards the end of that ball game. With C.J. Fair taking a shot so early in the shot clock, and then defensively getting the foul, and then Michael Carter-Williams taking that three when he should have drove. Their ability to calm down, not let that affect them, and move on to the next play, and refocus and gain their composure in the first overtime, the only overtime, excuse me. I thought that was huge for a basketball team, and they also locked down Georgetown defensively. Georgetown only shot 22% from the three-point line.
You know, so rich in history is this rivalry, and so many of the seminal moments have gone Georgetown's way, whether it was closing Manley Fieldhouse, whether it was winning on the night that they dedicated Jim Boeheim Court at the Carrier Dome, winning the last trip to the Carrier Dome this season, and then winning the last regular season game. And now Syracuse puts one on its side by kissing Georgetown goodbye.
And Coach, can I get some love? Didn't I say yesterday it's hard to beat a team three times in a row?
You're going with the big double.
That's all I wanted.
That's all I wanted. All in my moment.
All of this history, all of this strategic adjustments.
All about him.
All he wanted was, you were right.
No, it wasn't all about the Dukies tonight. It wasn't all about Dukies tonight.
No, it was not. And a perfect segue by Jay Williams. Maryland and Duke ACC quarterfinals. What it was all about, Des Wells in the first half. He dominated this game early, had 16 points, and Seth, in their first 10 baskets, he either scored them or assisted on him, like that one to Lynn.
Alex Len active up front, but Des Wells seeing plays, making plays, offensively, defensively. His development makes them a threat to win this tournament.
That was a nifty move by Ryan Kelly. Duke trying to get back in, and here goes Kelly down the second half and one. Duke closed it down to 45-44, but then Seth Allen would find Alex Len for the dunk.
And Rasheed Suleiman had a very difficult time guarding Seth Allen, dancing with the basketball, and he was able to find his way into the gaps. Right here, screen and roll situation, Alex Len, he has the ability to knock down the mid-range jumper.
You know, Len had 19 in the first meeting between these two, did not have quite as big an offensive night despite the way it looks in those highlights. Maryland knocks Duke out of the ACC tournament. Janine Edwards with Turgeon.
Coach, what a performance from your team tonight. What did you see in your players' eyes tonight?
Well, we're hungry. We're getting better. I keep telling people that. We just haven't really figured out how to win on the road. We've been up and down. We haven't won 2 in a row forever. So that was nice. I thought we looked younger, fresher, and more athletic the whole game. I kept telling our guys that. Then we got to the foul line. You know, we've done that the last 2 nights. That's the difference. We made free throws, and I thought Pichon Howard did an unbelievable job on Curry.
You told me after your loss to Virginia on Sunday, something changed about this team. You saw it. They were crying in the locker room. How did that translate to what we've seen last night and tonight?
It actually changed after we got whipped at Georgia Tech. That's when we started to get better. It just takes a while, okay? And we're growing up. We got a young basketball team, but I was happy to be involved in this game for my young team, but to win it's huge for our program.
Well, Maryland hasn't been talked about close to that bubble, but a couple more wins, and now you're going to start looking at them. They get the Florida State North Carolina winner coming up. And Maryland did a great job. Let's look at it from the Duke perspective quickly here. Is Duke still a 1 seed?
I think it's going to be interesting to say. I still would say they're a 1 seed as of right now. You look at some other teams that could replace them. I don't know if Kansas has enough non-conference wins to replace them as of right now. And then you look at a team like Michigan State. If Michigan State were to win and then maybe win the Big Ten, you have Michigan State, Indiana, I think is a lock. Gonzaga's a lock. I don't know if you can squeeze Kansas into that next segment. I think there'll still be Duke as of right now.
It's hard to find a replacement for him. That's the problem. Everyone's got losses.
That's
the one thing about Duke, they really don't have a bad loss. That's not a bad loss against Maryland. So it's hard to find someone to replace them with. If Kansas wins the Big 12, what do you say? Wait a second, they lost to TCU. They got whacked by Baylor on the road. How can you make them in number 1? It's difficult. If Michigan State wins the Big 10, I can see Michigan State and Indiana sliding in there. But then Michigan State, they've got a bunch of losses.
Yeah, and Kansas is their best wins are Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and St. Louis, and Kansas State.
And Louisville, too, could still work in.
Well, Louisville wins. I think Louisville wins the Big East tournament. You've got to give Maryland some credit defensively, though. Alex Len playing Mason Plumlee one-on-one enables them to stay home on those shooters. Think about this. They're 2 for 19 from the three-point line, Duke. The ability to contest shots, keep it in front. I think Coach Turgeon talked about Keyshawn Howard. The ability to arrive on the catch on Seth Curry and limit his room and ribbon shots is the key to Maryland defense.
Jake Layman, 2 on Ryan Kelly. 8
All right, so Duke loses his first game in the ACC tournament for the first time since 2007. The top seed, regular season champion, is Miami. Took on Boston College and Olivier Hanlon, who dropped 41 in the first round, but not this time. Lonnie Jackson drives, kicks it out to Patrick Heckman. Game was tied at 55. Miami's played like a team set to me, like with the weight of the world on its shoulders. That Larkin made some plays late.
Shane Larkin down the stretch made some huge plays. His ability to knock down shots, also get in the lane off the bounce and make others better, and he's a terrific defensive player.
Shane Larkin right here going deep, and how about the heads-up pass right there, catching the ball in rhythm, finishing strong at the rim.
Trey McKinney-Jones with that nice delivery that Al Golden would be proud of for the U. Miami 69-58 with the winner over Boston College. North Carolina State and Virginia. Virginia sitting squarely on that bubble. And, you know, one thing that a bubble can't stand is fire fueled by wood. Scott Wood going off.
I think this is a very dangerous NC State team. They've had their struggles this year, some chemistry problems on the team, but they're still a team with talent that they can put it together. It can cause a lot of trouble, not only in the ACC tournament, but in the NCAA tournament as well.
I think, now wait a minute, Calvin.
That is Calvin.
Calvin. That's good. It's Calvin. 75-56, North Carolina State gets the victories. North Carolina State just worried about seeding. Virginia's worried about getting in. They have some quality wins. They have a great win at Wisconsin, also beat Duke at home. Did this pop the Cavaliers' bubble, or are you still seeing
I think they're still alive, depending on what else happens, because Kentucky gets popped. My thing is, how is the committee going to look at when Jontel Evans did not play? They have 3 of those losses to the CAA without Jontel Evans.
You have to, I'm sorry, you have to beat Delaware and ODU, a team that's won 5 games this year, even though you don't have Jontel Evans. Sorry.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, we've seen that all year. Georgetown lost to South Florida, Kansas lost to TCU, Michigan lost to Penn State. There's no great team out there, Jay, I'm telling you. Kentucky's certainly not a great team. Against Vanderbilt, Kentucky's sitting right squarely on that bubble. Now, look, I'm not trying to make excuses for the Cats. Vanderbilt's playing its best ball of the season. Kevin Stallings hasn't played much better. They took Kentucky apart at the seams in this game.
And just dicing them in transition. Kentucky just didn't come out with any effort, looked a little bit lethargic.
Dejon Parker going and scoring. Kyle Fuller handling the ball, and one of Stallings' teams has moving all over the place. 64-48, Parker finished up with 12 points, so Vanderbilt moves on to the semifinals. They're playing in their hometown. Kentucky, you know, Calipari told me this year, he said, look, this thing's a bell curve. We can make an F, but if our F is better than other teams' Fs, we're going to get in. Is their F, that was an F performance tonight, but is their F good enough to get them in the tournament?
Right now, I don't think they're in the NCAA tournament. I've been a big proponent of Kentucky, but they could not afford a bad loss. This Vandy loss is a bad loss. Vandy's playing well. Forget about how they're playing today. Vandy's resume says this is a bad loss. I think this eliminates them from discussion.
I think Kentucky's out with only wins against Ole Miss. That's their only big-time win. Missouri wasn't ranked at the time.
Florida, they had
Florida.
But look, those are 2 good wins, though. Missouri and Florida are still good wins. I still think Kentucky's a lot better than some of those teams. But with that listless effort, when all eyes are on you, Jeff,
you know what? They're going to Dayton.
It's hard to defend them, if you want to admit. Tennessee also was sitting on the bubble, trying to solidify a bid, but Alabama needed to do a lot of work in the SEC tournament if they want to get in the discussion, and they got some work from Trevor Relaford.
Just so good with dancing with the basketball. If you don't dictate which way you want him to go defensively, he can just shake and bake.
Yeah, Levi Randolph strong to the bike. Levi Randolph ran over Jimmy Dykes and the statistician J.D. Rutledge again. Second time in 2 years that he's had a collision with Nessler and Dykes and those guys on the side. Trevor Lacey didn't have a big offensive day, but he knocked down the shot. Josh Richardson went strong. He had 1. They cut the Alabama lead to 6. But Randolph finding some friendly weekend banking hours in Nashville. And the Tide won 2 out of 3 from Tennessee this year. They win it by 10, and now they get Florida in the next round.
Alabama won that game on the defensive end. They did a great job on Jordan McRae and Trey Golden, holding them to 4 for 20. 2 of the big 3, they locked them down. They find a way to win. Right now, Alabama's in great shape as you look to them and compare them to the other SEC bubble teams.
I think Alabama has to beat Florida. Would you agree, Reese?
Oh, no, I don't think there's any question about that. The question, I think, would be is if they do they still have to win the tournament to get in?
Don't forget about Ole Miss now. Ole Miss gets a win over Missouri, and I think they're in pretty good shape.
Watch Missouri. Careful about Missouri. Big Ten will show you how it went down. Indiana's going to get another swing at Wisconsin after taking out Illinois. And Bill Self's team going against Iowa State. Remember the controversy last time the Jayhawks put an exclamation point on it. Bill was a little jacked up for this game.
College Basketball Live Scoreboard is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Notre Dame and Louisville make it a habit to go to overtime. You just saw Syracuse and Georgetown do that in 11 minutes. Russ Smith and the Cardinals will tip off against the Irish. Winner goes on to meet Syracuse in the championship game in the Garden tomorrow night. On night before Selection Sunday. Indiana, number 3 team in the country, outright champion in the Big Ten, taking on Illinois, one of the teams that beat them. Cody Zeller was running the floor and playing as if he wanted to make a point. Indiana was up by 13. Zeller would come up with the steal and lay it in. In second half, Seth, show me what Tom Crean was doing with Zeller.
Did a terrific job right here. Watch this screen right there. That's screening for the 5-man. That's a 4-5 screen. Zeller with the ability to get downhill off this ball screen. Watch the weak side defender. He turns his head. Will Shee, nice job on the backdoor cut. But here's your 5-man acting as a playmaker, getting downhill off the ball screen. Great job of moving without the ball with Will Shee. The versatility of Indiana offensively, very special.
He was going all magic on the people. A 7-foot point guard out there. What is Zeller doing out there? Zeller finds Oladipo for the dunk. And then Jordan Hulse is going to find Victor, and Victor's going to show off a little.
Most definitely. A little 360 action right there. And we know the answer for Illinois. If they're not making the three-point shot, they're not going to win the game.
80-64. Indiana moves on to the semifinals. Wisconsin shooting for his 12th win in 13 tries against the Maize and Blue. Tim Hardaway Jr. on the business end from Trey Burke. Wolverines up by a half dozen. But Wisconsin could smell the aroma of victory thanks to Ben Brust. That's deep.
Just knocking down the three-point shot. How about Wisconsin scoring 51 points in the second half? They're just overpowering Michigan.
Such a good passing team, Wisconsin. Great job of baseline drive. Looking to drift, shot ready right down, knocks down that 3 for Russ.
Brust hit it. Ryan Evans with the good pass. Wisconsin up by 11. Trey Burke driving.
And Trey Burke is so explosive. Really good job by using the rim as a shield.
But what did you think of the way they played today?
I think towards the end of the ball game, this is a basketball team for Michigan that they stand around and their offense is stagnant because everybody waits for Trey Burke to play.
Can Michigan get stops? And Trey Burke, your point guard, can't take 22 shots.
Frank Kaminsky had the last 2 buckets you saw, and Wisconsin goes on to win it 68-59. They've had their way with Michigan, and they've also had their way with Indiana, having won 11 straight against the Hoosiers.
This is all about defensive transition, keeping it in a half-court Wisconsin. Cody Zeller, the first half against Wisconsin the other time, he had 18 points. He needs to show up in the second half.
Wisconsin needs to hit on all cylinders, and Jared Berger and Mike Bruzewicz have to do a good job of spacing out and knocking down the 3-ball to win the game.
You know, we've seen some bubble teams losing, and we see a couple bubble teams making charges. Iowa had Michigan State frozen for a moment before Anthony Clemens Jr. Okay, that wasn't the prettiest shot in the world, but very effective for McCaffrey's team. And the Hawkeyes up 30-20. At halftime. Pat Connaughton can bring the heat, throws a fastball about 94 miles an hour, and he's been hot from 3. Notre Dame and Louisville's coming up. Big 12 tournament, Iowa State taking on Kansas. Early in the first half, Travis Relaford putting it upstairs. Jeff Whitney flush.
Great job by Relaford reading the defense, understanding the guy was on his hip, continue to go towards the basket, throwing the lob at the rim.
The veteran Relaford running the floor. And Ben McLemore. Nadir Tharp's going to find him. Now watch McLemore. Going to have a little something to say. I think that was George Niang that he shared a moment with. Got a technical for taunting. Bill Self didn't like that, and he spoke to Holly Rowe at halftime.
Well, Coach, what did the officials explain to you about that technical foul on Ben?
They said he turned around and looked at the bench. So, strange call.
That is what you call a man measuring his words and biting his tongue, trying to make sure that his wallet doesn't become lighter from the big bucket. That was Whitney cleaning up on the inside. You know, Kansas had to hear a lot of talk about how they got a call, how they didn't deserve to win in Ames. They opened up the can on the Cyclones, won at 88-73 to move on. Peyton Siva going to lead the Cardinals against the Irish coming up.